What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to be showing you how to get a semi-professional sounding mix using only free plugins. These plugins are going to be coming from Analog Obsession, Valhalla DSP, Mercurial for some bass plugins, and TSE Audio for some guitar plugins, as well as Neural Amp Modeler. These plugins hit the market pretty recently. I guess they've been around for a couple years now, but they're really making their rounds because of their quality. Being donationware, they're stacking up against the competitors. And I have a couple of plugins in here that I'll show at the end to really spice this up. Just kind of in the mastering phase. Unfortunately, none of these companies have a free tape machine emulation yet. I'm joking. I don't know if any of them are going to be making one, but who knows? Something to keep an eye out for. Alright, so to start with, we have everything raw. I have 2 short songs here and a little piece of another, all different kinds of sounds. It's all metal, but there's a progressive sound here, a deathcore sound here, and a kind of new metal bounce sound here. But yeah, I guess we'll hear everything raw. 4 virtual instruments, because we're using free virtual instruments today as well. We are using ML drums for our drums. It's not too bad. I think it gets the job done. Not bad. Now, there's a free virtual bass that's out right now from a band in Germany called Circuit. And I don't know the story entirely behind this, but God bless them in their endeavors for doing this and letting it be a free download. Because they have used a Legator Wraith with Fishman's, and it's we're using it on the DI setting. Crunch. I'll solo it up. Because why not? Clean tone was... Drive tone's pretty nice. Has a little bit of sample click here and there, and, it's some strong attack. But it's free. I mean, if you're making demos to send to your bandmates to like, hey, I have a song idea, or you're working with people across the country or across the world, and you're trying to do songwriting, this is a perfect tool. DIs we got. We'll start with just what's in the line. Levels aren't perfect because I kind of had this pre-mix and I just turned off all the plugins. But it's kind of gain match, not quite. But bass is super loud. The first thing I really did, I just kind of put some EQ on the kick. It's a little boxy here, so kind of swept it out a little bit. Gave it some smack. Now, all right, let's get just drums going right now. So I got EQ on the kick. The first thing I really want to do here is I want to show off the bus compressor from Analog Obsession. It is your typical SSL G-Bus compressor, and it does the thing. Drum bus, I'm setting the attack to 30 milliseconds, release 0.3, 3:1 ratio, and alright. So, Next thing on the business, I want to get the snare a little snappier, a little punchier. So little tiny bit of saturation. Just get that low end to come out. Get that upper mid kind of gravel out of it. A little EQ. There it is. See, it kind of a tiny low end bump. You just find that fundamental frequency there and just give it a sound, kind of tight cue, which I actually think I'm a little above it, but and a little compression. Nothing crazy. 6-to-1 ratio. Kind of fast attack. Medium release. Kind of want that full mix. But yeah, we're getting there. We're just about hitting the sweet spot where I want to hit on that. I didn't realize that wasn't showing. I have my sends here. Everything is, I believe, being sent at Unity. No. So there's some minute send changes here. Like that one's minus 1.7, minus 3. I'm just loop that. Let's see. Toms. I actually don't know if there's much tom work in this. How about... Screw it. We will keep the deathcore tune. We'll go to the deathcore tune next. Especially because this is all just drums anyway. Kind of want that. Volume is about right. This is their LA2. And it also does the thing, and it does it really well. Hold on, let's kind of zoom in here. Yeah. Yeah, it does the thing. Punches up the toms. The ML stuff honestly doesn't need much. I personally think it's a little over processed out of the box, but I also just really like raw drums. That's not necessarily a slight against them. That's just personal preference. We'll go hi-hat. Let's see. I don't know if I have much hi-hat in the... Oh, yeah. No, because that's all ride. Yes, here. This bit. Have my hi-hat and my ride. My hi-hats, I have hold a 500 hertz low cut. I guess I chose to push just so you can hear it. Actually don't know why that was turned down so low. Or well, maybe actually I think I know why, because this compressor is probably yeah, it's pushing it. That's probably why it was down so low. Let's not blow our ears on that. we go. I like that. All right. Let's do our ride. Another 2A. Let's see. Does the thing. Subtle. I think I mostly just have it there for color. Overheads. The overheads, I'm doing something a little tricky here. I'm using dynamic EQ in the 2K range to get rid of some harshness. I think I'm getting rid of some harshness, and I'm also just trying to duck the snare out of it a bit. Pull that back. Yeah, I figured that was going to make it louder. That makes it to where it's not just snare hitting the compressor, and I'm able to, you know, actually just level it out a bit. Rooms. Squashing the shit out of it. I don't know why that floor tom was so loud there. Let's see. Well. All right, to supplement our drum mix, I'm going to go over here. We have a reverb track for the snare. So we're using Valhalla Supermassive. And I honestly just started with a preset and made tiny changes to it. You know, it, again, just works. And then some EQ to get that low end out of it, because I mainly just want it there for air. But you can hear the difference that makes. All right. Now, I'm going to go over here to my master section. And we're going to do some top-down mixing. Now that we got drums in, everything sounds good. We're going to add a bus compressor. This was going to be at a 3 millisecond attack, auto release, 1.5 ratio. And we're going to get this just kissing. Because once everything else gets in on top of this, this is going to be helping glue everything together. And then the limiter just makes it louder and keeps it from peaking. For now, I'm going to bring that up. That way, we have a true, you know, at volume. We're not having to raise our headphone volume. We're actually getting it at listening volume before having to do that. I suppose next we'll do bass. Now I'm doing a split bass here because what I want to do here is have a clean DI to blend with a grit track. And what I'm going to do here is first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use the Brit channel from Analog Obsession. Now we're getting places. I'm adding a ton of gain to give it some saturation, and I'm just pulling all of 700, it would appear, and I'm boosting a little 110. And then we got the another Analog Obsession compressor. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. And then hard EQ to soak it down to where that's just the sub end. All right, that's sub bass. Let's mute that. Now this one we're using on the drive channel. First thing we're gonna do, grindy. We're using the MGS from Mercurial. This is the Greed Smasher. We're going to run it through the neural amp sim using the same amp as our guitars. Same amp and same impulse response. And that'll come later. Some hard EQ. Just sounds like crap. But you'll see why. This is just leveling it. It's a hard limiter. I kind of don't want it to be a limiter. And that's why. All right. Next order of business is our guitar DIs. All right. So what I'm going to do here to make this to where we can actually kind of hear what's going on with these, I'm going to go over to this bounce area because this isn't as, these first two areas guitar-wise are super articulate, so the DI might not sound as pleasant. But this is what we're working with for DI. Sounds good, nice and tight. Let's start. I had a tuner on this because I was tracking. So let's start. We're using a TSE 808. Tube Screamer. Gotta love it. It's perfect. No drive. Full volume. Tone cranked to 1 o'clock. And then we're using neural amp sum. I went and found a PV6505 profile, and I kind of liked it. I have impulse responses that I use for everything. This is about an export from Get Good Drumzilla. That's not free, but you could find tons of great sounding impulse responses for free online and get this exact same sound. Because all this is vintage 30s K100. And yeah, right now this is what we're working with. Which this over here is just a mono guitar. It's the same thing. I think this one's running a little bit different tone as far as amp settings, but it's also got some corrective EQ because it's, again, just mono guitar. But this is what we're working with right now. So I'm going to add some compression, tack that, and some EQ. Which the compressor's just there to catch palm mutes. Now I have something great out here, and that's a surprise tool we'll use later, because that's a paid for plugin, and there are two in this session that I will show you later on that you should buy them, and why I think you should, because they always go on sale, and you can usually find them for 20 bucks a piece or free. I believe the Pultec one is a freebie, so this one under my mouse right here. Don't quote me on that, but if it is, it'll be down in the description. Okay. But anyway, we have that. And we add a tiny reverb just to widen them out a little bit. If I really wanted to, I could go in and add a stereo widener and push them out just a tiny hair, but I don't think it needs it. Yeah, that should be all of it. And of course, it takes time to level all of it and all that good stuff. But if I'm not mistaken, this is all of it. Or at least that's all of it in solo. So now, let's hear it all together. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. So, this, with just free plugins, you can get this. It takes time to learn the tools, read the manuals, know what everything does, and you'll get there. But I want to show you two surprise tools that we mentioned earlier to make this elevate tenfold. Now, that plugin that I have grayed out right here, this is a Universal Audio Pultec EQ. Now, what this is it's a clone of a rack EQ that has 17 tubes in it. That's all you need to know. It has mojo. You can set your low end to boost and attenuate on the same frequency, and it just makes your guitar sound ultra expensive. And then you boost a little top end on 8K, get that nice sizzle out. Boom. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Just rounds it out. Rounds it out super nice. Gives it a nice top end attack. You know, it's just, it's there. It's in your face, nice and bright. Maybe a little too bright. It could be, you know, maybe it's a little brittle, but it works. It gets the idea across. Let's see. And the other surprise tool, this is the Universal Audio Studer A800 tape machine. It's a clone of a real tape machine, and it has a few different tape options for color. I personally am using the 456, but we can go through and you know, I can show you just how it colors the sound. What it does is it gives some tape saturation. It gives it a tiny bit of just, you know, it gives it some noise to the signal. It just fills it out. And when I say color, it means there's an EQ curve being put on it. That's what color is. Yeah, we'll see how this sounds. Obviously without. I'll start on the deathcore tune. Start without, and then we'll just turn it on. It just gives it so much meat. I personally like the 456. It's a little more transparent, but gives that low mid that it needed. But yeah, that's how you get a pro sounding mix with all free plugins. And if you want to spice it up and give it a tiny bit of ear candy, spend $40. If you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and comment down below what you want to see. If you want more tutorials, let me know. If you want music tips, songwriting tips, drum tuning tips, whatever you need, comment down below. If I know it, I'll make a video on it. But as always, take it easy and have a good day.